Good evening. Howdy. Oh, wow. Y'all like Baptists or something. You have like a delay in response. I'm totally joking. I make fun of Baptists because I'm pastor of a Baptist church. So it's easy to make fun of your own. Total joke. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. You know what I mean? Y'all with me? Yeah. So you can talk back when I ask you a question. It's okay. We're not in school. We're at a school, but we're not actually in school, so it's okay. Miss Turnbow is going to pass out the handbooks. Those of you that are watching this on a recording, if you'll open the download in your email, I sent out with a video link, and follow along with us in the handbook. We do this every year. Some schools don't do this, and that's okay. But the reason we do it is because we want to try to get we like to have a smooth sailing year, and the best part of the smooth sailing year is getting out of port safely and not be taking on 30-foot waves when you can still see the land. You know what I mean? That's kind of bad. We would like to have a smooth sailing start, and the way we do that is all be on the same page, sort of understand our policies and procedures, and then get some time with your child's classroom teacher tonight after we finish up in here. I'll try to keep this to about 45 or 50 minutes. I'll go through it as quickly as I can, answer questions you have. Obviously, if you have just a personal question that you think, nobody else would don't need to hear all that, you can see me offline. If you have something that you think would benefit all of us, then feel free to ask, and be glad to answer any questions that you any questions that you have. So let's pray, and then we'll go through the handbook, and let's get started. Father, thank you for each family member that made it here tonight. Thank you for the time that they've invested in hearing more about the ministry and the work of Greater Things Christian School and being able to connect with their child's teacher. I pray for each family member that their child may have the best year ever this year at GTCS. I pray for our teachers as they serve and teach and care for each of these young people that you have entrusted to us. We count that as a great privilege and also a great responsibility. May we be blessed tonight as we look into our philosophy and policy and procedures. We pray for safety for all the kids as we start back to school in just over a week and a half. May you guide our time tonight, is my prayer. In Christ's name, amen. All right, if you have the handbook, everyone have one. Anybody need one that did not get one? All right. You can notice on the second page, if you turn over to the back, there's a note from me, and you can take the time sometime to read that if you'd like to see what our theme is for this year. It's Romans 12:12. We're teaching kids about growing in their hope, being able to be patient through affliction, hard times. Your children, I believe, and my children, I have a fifth grader that will be here this year. I think that they will tell stories about the hard times that they went through in 2020. That is, if we all make it through 2020. Total joke, just a joke. Relax. We're going to make it through by God's grace, right? But they're going to tell stories about that. I don't think we've had it nearly as bad as maybe their great-grandparents did in the Depression, but the year is young, right? So we'll see what happens as we trust God and try to be optimistic. And I joke around. I try to joke a little bit with adults because seemingly when people come into a school, they get very uptight. There's nothing to be uptight about. It's all good. You can have mercy and laugh at a joke or two. You see our mission statement at the top of page 2. Our mission statement is simplistically put, is to engage and educate students' heart, mind, and will. That means there's a big buzzword, holistic education. We don't buy into all the components of that, but we are interested based on the great commandment. Jesus said, love God with your heart, mind, soul, and strength. The second is like it, love your neighbors yourself. So our ministry, our mission is to engage your children in the heart. And how do we do that? We try to build a strong foundation and relationship between your child's teacher and your child, because we believe that if a child knows that the teacher loves and cares for them, that eliminates a lot of the difficulties that they face when they're going through learning new concepts, new strategies, new skills, new information. So we try to focus very much on that relationship between the teacher and the student, because we also believe that the most important asset that we have as a school is the teachers in the classroom. And you might say, well, isn't it your curriculum? Well, curriculum is very important. It's very important. We spend a lot of time researching and making sure we pick the right curriculum. But if you don't have the right teacher to utilize that curriculum, then you just have a lot of information being changed, but you're not seeing their lives changed. And of course, it's not happening. It's not going to happen necessarily overnight, but our desire is to see your child grow emotionally in their maturity, to grow socially, physically. Of course, we have little control over, but socially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, we want to see them grow all of their heart. That part of us that connects with God and the supernatural, and also that connects with relationships with one another, we want to see them grow in that area. And then, of course, what any school would be doing is trying to help kids grow academically in their minds, and not just by filling their minds with information, but giving them information by which they can critically think through the issues and look at it from a panoramic view. And of course, based on what grade your child's in, it may be progressively more challenging. It ought to be as they go through the years. And then, of course, we want to affect that part of a child that every one of you in this room try to work on affecting every day, and that is their decisional will, their volitional will, their decisions that they make. What we're all after is to have them do that which they don't want to do, but they know is the right thing to do. Like all of us, when we know what we ought to do, to push ourselves to do what is right. You know, we can fill our kids' minds with all kinds of information, and we can love them and care for them, but if we don't teach them to do what's right, even when they don't feel like doing what's right, then we're not really going to produce the kind of results that we want to see in our kids, right? We want to teach them, you know, it doesn't always have to feel good to do what's right, right? Sometimes, in fact, it doesn't feel good at all, but it's always right to do right. And that's what we try to teach your kids. And so we do that by developing the heart through the relationship with the teacher. I've already touched on that. Trying to help them whet their appetite for a thirst for knowledge and wisdom. The scripture says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, that wisdom should be sought after more than rubies and gold and silver. Wisdom. So we want to teach your kids to be wise. And of course, that happens progressively over time. And then, of course, about decisional obedience, choosing to obey even when they don't want to. So that's about our mission and our purpose and what we're trying to see accomplished in the classroom. About the administrative prerogative on chapter 2, that means that not every single situation is covered in this handbook, and the administrator has the purview to make a decision that may not be explicitly, just clearly written out in this handbook. Financial terms and conditions, you have to pay your tuition. That wraps that up. Let's move on to the next one. No laughter at that at all. Boy, that's a tough crowd. Not included in tuition, of course, is the application fee, lunches, personal lunchbox, backpack, water bottle, nap mat if you have a preschooler. We're not going to get into that because we're not covering that tonight. Uniforms, which is just the shirts, and the Fun Friday field trips, sports fees if we're able to offer sports, yearbooks, if we have to replace a textbook, headphones or earbuds. Late payments. The first month of August, we're not going to apply any late fees to your account. But on September the 11th, which is the day after the 10th of the month, if tuition isn't current, then there will be a $35 late fee. We don't like doing that. It's not like we're doing it because we want to stick it to people. We don't do that. But here's what happens. I've had to learn over the last 7 years. Families get behind, and by November they're looking at me and saying, "I just want you to know I'm not going to get to catch up." And then the school suffers for that. So we have to have some policy to follow. Does that make sense? Okay. Clear enough on that. And if you go to page 3. Just, that's the thing that it's saying there at that underlined part that's all caps. If you're running into some trouble, just contact me. Let me, I'm not a bill collector. I don't want to bother you on the phone like I'm a bill collector. If you're running into some trouble, you're going to see me running around here or walking real fast. I don't do a lot of running. I don't like to run. But I do walk as much as I can, and the weight stays on. There's an issue going on. I don't know. But you'll see me running around. If you run into some kind of financial difficulty, you don't have to announce it to the world. You can send me a message. You can text the school. You can send a Class Dojo message. You can email me. You can call me and just say, "Hey, look, You don't have to unload all of your problems. I mean, you can. I'll be glad to help you if you want. But if you're just running into some difficulty and say, hey, could you give me some time? Then we will certainly do our best to work with you. On the withdrawal and refund policy, if you come to school and your child's here, and it could be that you've just said, hey, financially, we're running into some trouble and we can't afford the tuition. Or we've done everything we know to do, and no matter what we try, either you're not satisfied or your child's not satisfied. The policy is that you give us a 30 days notice, so you would pay for the next month's tuition, and then you would not be responsible for the remainder of tuition. And you can read about that in the, there's actually a typo there. I see where it says 19-20 school year. It should say 20-21 school year. So if you want to change that and mark it out and have me initial it, because we're going to sign about that you agree with the handbook, I'm glad to do that so that you'll know the policy's up to date. Please don't write a check that's going to bounce. What a pain. Please don't do that. I mean, I love people, but please don't do that. If you don't have the money, then talk to me. Appreciate that. Or if you're going to write a bad check, do it online, and then it's your problem, and I'll have to deal with it. That's a blessing. Amen to that. All right, next page, page 4. Accreditation, we are working with the Christian Schools International organization. We're seeking dual accreditation with CSI and Advanced Ed. If you've ever heard of Advanced Ed before, they're out of Atlanta, Georgia. They're now renamed themselves as Cognia, and they're a national accreditation organization. And so the state of Tennessee, all of the schools will recognize that. Right now, the tentative plan is for them to come here for their accreditation visit in late April of 2021, so before this school year ends. And so we're working tremendously hard. We just had our first 3-hour meeting on Thursday of last week with the regional coordinator for them to start the process of us putting together a site team on their end, and for us to put together committees, or what we're going to call teams here, and parents need to be involved in that. We're probably going to wait till around the end of September to start getting surveys to you, because part of the accreditation process is for families to give feedback on what you think we're doing well, or perhaps what we might need to improve on. And let me just give you a little word on about the part that we need to improve on. Every school that I know of has a school improvement plan where they're constantly working to try to improve their product. Any school that stops doing that, they're going to go backwards. Does that make sense? So it doesn't mean that schools are going to be perfect. We always are trying to address how to get better. All I'm asking you is, if you see something obvious, I mean, try to wait till after the first day. The first day is kind of a little nutsy, but maybe the first couple of weeks, if there's something that you think, hey, they don't see this, you can always talk to me. I'm very approachable. I'm glad to hear the information. I'll do my best to try to translate that and begin to practice and see how we can get better, because our agenda is to constantly be improving, okay? Any questions about anything I've covered so far? Great. Computer usage procedures, you can read about that. If your child breaks a computer, then we're going to talk to you about helping us with the cost. I mean, if they did it negligently, obviously. Children are going to spill things. Children are going to drop things. They have a rubber matting on the outside of them. Hopefully when they hit the carpeted floor, it will not be a terrible thing. Extended care program. Oh, I love this one so much. Let me not spend 10 minutes on this, but maybe 3 minutes, if you can just be patient with me. It's a long story, but I want to try to give you the Cliff Notes version, and then if you have a question, I'll be glad to fill in the blanks. This is our 8th year as a school, and we've always had extended care. That means before care school and after care school. And this year, when our state evaluator came to visit, she was giving me some insights on what has to happen with our extended care program if we're going to be open from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. In other words, if it's true for a school of 600 kids, then it's true for a school of 90 kids, which, this is being recorded. I'm not going to say anything else about that. I could, but it won't be of any benefit, so I'm just going to hold my tongue. So we have to look through what is best for us as it relates to monitoring before and after care, not monitoring, staffing before and after care. So if we can move our before care open to 6:15, not 6:50, but 6:15, and close at 5:45, it allows us to not have to go through a bunch of hoops, meaning we have to hire 2 more people to be here just for before care and just for after care, because a 4-year-old can't be in with older kids more than an hour at a time, even if they're over to their side working with things that they want. Can't do that. And we don't have the resources to do all that hoop jumping, and so we've had to modify a little bit how we're doing before care. It opens at 6:15, closes at 5:45. Since we announced that it would just be 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and that's a major dilemma for you, I will do whatever I can to try to modify and make things work for you, but I'm kind of in a box, okay? I'm kind of in a box on what I can do. But afterwards, I'll be back in the back, and I'll do whatever I can to try to make things work for you, because we don't like to announce one thing and then have to change it. And but this is just after we've looked through all the options, it's what's best for us to do as a school. So it means we're cutting 30 minutes total a day out of extended care, 15 in the morning and 15 in the evening, okay? Any questions about that specifically, like you don't understand it or anything like that?
Could volunteers help bridge that gap a little bit?
I would love that, but you have to go through an act of Congress to get to participate. As a volunteer, you can't do it, but if you became an employee of the school and got 3 background checks and a letter from the doctor and a presidential letter, and you get your blood checked, and I mean, it's about every kind of crazy hoop under heaven to watch a few kids. But I understand why. You know, on one hand, there's a lot of wacko nut jobs in the world, and you can't, I'm not saying you are, don't necessarily, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's just a lot of, I understand why they have to have policies and procedures in place. You know, we do background checks. Everyone has to go through a TBI, the sex offender background check, have to go get their fingerprints done, and rightly so. If you're gonna be around a bunch of kids today, has to be done. But it's just hard, you know, when you're a smaller organization and you're held to the same rules. When we may only have 20 kids in here the whole time, and by the first 30 minutes of it, maybe down to 12 kids. And I've got to hire 2 more people to try to jump through all those hoops. So just by moving it a little bit, how many of you can say right now, not being able to get them in the door till 15 after 6 is going to be a major problem for you? Anybody about getting here 15 minutes early, 15 till? Is that a major problem? Well, that worked out a lot better than what I had anticipated. Just right on. Let's move on before somebody has a problem. Okay. About the extended care drop-off pickup. In the mornings, if you come between 6 and 7:30. Now, 7:30 means if you look at your phone and you don't have like a old-fashioned 10-year-old phone, if it says 7:30, then you're not out of the car yet. It's too late. So if you pull in and it's 7:28, it's not too late. But you got to get out of the car and you got to walk them to the door and you got to get them signed in and all that jazz. So just work with us on that. If you get here and it's like 7:31, 7:32, don't worry. You're just going to line up in the car line and we're going to open the doors and welcome your kids into the school. Because this year what we're doing different, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit and I'm sorry, but it's just a lot to explain, so better just go ahead and explain it. And then when we come to the policy, we can jump over it and go to the next page. So here's what it is. In the past, if you've been here this past year, we didn't open these doors for your children to come into the school until 8:15. So we only had like 13, 14 minutes because we like to start chapel right at 8 o'clock, and we need about a minute to get everyone to set their things down and get into their seats and all that jazz. So instead of doing that, we're going to open the doors 15 minutes early, and your kids can come in between 7:30 and 8 o'clock before care ends at 7:30. Your children's teacher will be out here at 7:30, and your children will sit in the same place for that. We call it homework club. And so during the first about 20 minutes, they can bring a dry breakfast. They can't bring like Fruit Loops and a little thing of milk and a spoon and a bowl and be dumping it out and warming up cinnamon rolls and, you know, drinking some orange. I mean, something light. It's a breakfast snack, not a meal, okay? Just something to get them through to the morning snack, okay? So those first 20 minutes, they'll be with their teacher, sitting where they would be sitting later that day when they have lunch. When they do art or anything that they're doing that's not in the classroom, they will sit where they've been sitting. And the only people that will sit at those tables that day and any day will be those kids, and they will have a permanent place to sit all the time. Does that make sense? So you can drop your kids off at 7:30 and they won't be in before care. They'll be in the homework club. Homework club. Homework club. Love that. Then, you don't have to get here, at 7:30. If you want to wait, we applaud. But if you need to drop them off early, it's no problem, Bob. 7:30, they can come right on in. No big deal, okay? But we really would love for them to be in the building by like 7:55. That means not fixing their hair in the parking lot because you didn't fix it before you left, and you're kissing and hugging and saying, okay, sweetie, it's going to be okay. Let them go. You're going to come back. You have to pick them up. It's going to be okay. They're going to be here when you get back because you have to come back and get them. We will require it. We can't do it. You have to come back and get them. And so, yes, thank you. So let them get in the building by 7:55 so that we can rearrange the chapel chairs. Will have little X's with their grades on it, and they will be distanced from well over 6 feet away from everyone else. They'll move their chairs over. We'll have chapel. Everything will be wonderful. Okay? So extended care, you have to park and come up to the doors. If you're here before 7:30, you have to park and come up to the doors, ring the doorbell. And here's one more thing about dropping off in extended care, and then we'll go back to the regular drop-off time. We're asking for parents not to come in the building, okay? No. I mean, we're obviously, you could say, okay, you're doing that because of COVID-19. And don't you know they've been with me in the car the whole time? Yes, I do. And I'm certainly not, I'm not a medical doctor or a nurse, don't want to be one, can't imagine trying. But we're just trying to keep kids as safe as possible. I would be willing to do, you'd be amazed what I'd be willing to do to avoid having to go through what we went through back in March. And you don't want your children going through that, do you? No? So we're just trying our best you come to the door, we'll have the time written down when we see you. All you have to do is sign your name. You don't have to ask us, hey, what time is it? Time's already written down. You just sign your name, adios amigos, you're gone. Good? Everybody good? And then if you come after 7:30 or 7:30 to 7:55, because all of you in here, does anyone in here have a child coming to the school that's not in 3rd to 6th grade? You have a younger one that will be coming with you as well? Anyone? Okay. So all you have to do is, if you have a younger one with you that's in 2nd grade or below, you'll just pull your car up as close as you can to the building, facing that way, like your car's facing the field, and until there's someone in front of you, of course, park. And the teachers will be out there, and you can just get your younger, I'm telling you that completely wrong. We're going to back up, so we're going to just do a rewind. I'm thinking of preschool. Have mercy. Okay, does anyone in here have a preschooler that you do? Yes. So you will be up next to the building, okay? And you'll let your preschooler out and your 3rd grader out, but everyone else, kindergarten and up,
I'm going to come into before care, so you don't have to worry about it. I just need to know where the doorbell's at.
it's on that double door right there.
As long as it's like.
Yeah, it is.
The other public schools are not like.
Yeah, the doorbell,
Like no secret
yeah,
gate.
it's just right there in that little window. Okay, so if you have a grade school student, anyone that's not in preschool, kindergarten up, you're going to drive down the driveway as close to the parking stops until you get to the back of the parking lot, and you're going to do a little turn, and you're going to come back up the parking lot, and there'll be a little cone there. Unless there's like 6 cars in line and you'll have to stop before you make the turn, okay? And we're going to be out there. I'll be out there to help your children get across, okay? Don't let your kids out of the car. We get kind of lazy about this. I noticed last year, people just say, hey, see ya, and they're in the parking lot. Let's not do that. Wait for me to come up to the car and get them, and then I'll take them with me up to the next car and get the next one, and then we'll walk across together, okay? That's between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. I really messed that up, and I'm truly sorry about that. And if you're confused, it's my fault. Help me, tell me if you're confused, and I will do better explaining it. Anyone? But just get them in the building, get them out of the car by 7:55 so we can have time to get things turned around so we can start chapel right at 8 o'clock. Then when you come back to pick them up, we're going to jump over a couple pages here. So be happy. When you come back in, pickup time is between 3:45 and 4:15. Last year it was just 3:45 and 4. 3:45 to 4:15, And if your child's here between 4 and 4:15, they'll be in a small reading club out here with their teachers. You follow me on that? All right? So you can just come and line up same way. We'll bring your children out to you. You don't have to come in. The only time you have to come in is if you're here past 4:15, you would park and then come across, ring the doorbell. They'll bring your child and their things out to you. And here's what we're asking you to do when you pick your child up. We are not letting your child out of the building until you have signed them out, because then they're in your custody. And they're your responsibility. We don't mean that rude, but we can't leave in here. So what we've seen happen a couple times last year is where parents will sort of prop the door open, and while they're signing, little Susie or little whatever, we always say Susie and Johnny. We have no Susies or Johnnies here. So nothing personal. They will dart out the door, and then chaos ensues. No, that's bad, right? So you have to sign them out. Again, the time will already be written down. You just sign them out, take their things, and we'll say, here's your child, and you can be on your way. Peace. Everybody good? Yes? Any problems? Great. Okay. We can turn the page from page 4, mercifully. That took probably a lot longer than it should have. I've already talked about drop-off, dismissal, attendance. Our attendance policy is this, and it's really because we're on a 4-day school week. Your children can miss 5 days in a semester, August to December, and they need no doctor's excuse. But if your child goes a 6th day, on the 6th day, every time they miss, they have to have a doctor's excuse. Of course, you might say, well, yes, but what about coronavirus and all that? Well, here's what we're doing. If your child is exhibiting symptoms of a coronavirus, which my understanding is it's respiratory, could be fever, could be coughing, could be loss of taste, could be loss of smell, could be all of that, could be maybe none of that, I don't know. So it's very subjective. All I can tell you is, if your child goes home complaining of being sick, and you take them to the doctor and they do a coronavirus test and they test positive, those days that they're absent, we will not count against the 5. Okay? Does that make sense? Oh, that was easy. All right, move next. And then they have 5 absences, of course, that are excused without a doctor's note starting in the spring, January to May. But on the 6th day, they have to have a doctor's note. So what I'm trying to say is, we are having to, because we are going through accreditation, we can't just say, aw shucks, you missed 3 more days, no big deal. Our files will be looked at very closely, and we have to follow our policies. So that means on the 6th day, if it's not related to coronavirus, we have to have a doctor's note. And there's an exception. You say, what about if our family has some kind of an emergency, or we have to go on a trip out of town, and it's work and they have to go with me? Then all we're asking you to do is, as much heads up as possible, let us know what's going on so that we can document that and try to get them their work so that they can take the work with them, because if they come back after being gone a week, they're going to have all the new work coming at them plus all of that work, and it does not make for a good experience for the student. You with me? Make sense? Any questions about attendance? Okay? All right. Tardy policy. Do you see where it says 7:30 to 7:55 in that first little paragraph under philosophy? Well, that's a long time to get your kids dropped off. We would really like for them to be in the building. They need to be in the building ready for chapel. Ready for chapel means they're over here in their chair at 8 o'clock. So that means if you get them in the building by 7:55, they can take their sweet time. They'll get their stuff put away. They'll be set up for chapel. So let's just shoot for 7:55, okay? Everybody good? Everyone all right? Okay. And then in the excessive tardiness, unexcused tardiness, when students continually tardy to class, extra work may be assigned for tardiness at the teacher's discretion. 3 unexcused tardies to school will result in a loss of recess or classroom privileges. 8 tardies will result in a day suspension. We have to follow that closely this year. You might say, well, what happens if I just can't help it, I got started late? Nothing I can do about it. They're tardy. Don't get started late. You might sound, well, that's cold. I don't mean to sound cold. If my wife is late and Micaiah's with her and she's not here, and the reason is they just got started late, it's unexcused tardy. Okay? We have to have a policy that we follow, or it's all I do is call balls and strikes, and I'm usually always calling balls because I want everybody to be happy. Well, Depends on whose side you're on. You might want strikes. But anyway, and we just have to follow the policy. Does that make sense? Okay. Birthdays. Birthdays. Everybody loves birthdays. We love birthdays. But because of coronavirus, this is what we're doing. We're buying prepackaged ice cream and some prepackaged cakes that all the other kids will get. Your child, if they're the birthday one, will get the ice cream. If you say it's okay, we'll find out from you exactly what kind. Make sure everything's okay. We'll have to have that in writing. And they'll get the cake. We'll sing happy birthday. They can wear a hat around all day, but you can't come and bring things right now on that day. So you might say, well, maybe I want to take that day and they just don't come to school. Well, it'll count against one of your 5 days, but we'll work with you on that for your birthday. But we are not wanting parents in the building for right now. We're going above and beyond. When you hear about you already read it probably, all of the rules that we're trying to follow to make sure kids can stay in school and we get the least amount of people sick, we have to cut down on that. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Biblical worldview integration, I skipped that on page 6. That just simply means that we're going to teach every classroom subject from a Christian worldview. If you want to know more about that, I would be honored to tell you more about it. You have a copy of the calendar. Censorship. Here's the thing about censorship. There's all kinds of books in our library. What is inappropriate to you may not be inappropriate to someone else. I mean, obviously, there's some clear things that are just over the top for a child that we all can agree on. But then there's some gray matters where you might say, that's fine with my kid. Another person might be outraged by that. Censorship, we're not going to censor it. You can just say, hey, I don't want my child reading that. We'll work with you on that, okay? Chapel. Chapel starts at 8. I've already covered that. Moving on. Communication with faculty and staff. How many of you are already connected to Class Dojo? Is there anyone in here that has no idea about what I speak about Class Dojo? You're like, what? It's a Class Dojo. Nothing? Good. Everyone's connected? Because that's what we're going to use. And the reason why is because it's going to pop right up on your phone or your tablet or your computer, and it gets quick communication to you, and you can communicate quickly back to us. And so just understand that our teachers work very hard. Most of them will be here before 7 a.m. Most of them will not leave here till 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Then when they get home, they're going to work on school some more. So if you think to yourself, okay, it's 7:15, and I'm just a little miffed about something, but I'm going to be miffed about it in the morning. If you can wait till in the morning to be miffed and let them know that you're upset about something, then wait. Because they're on their phone, and it's going to pop up, and then they're going to have to deal. What can they do about it right now? If you want to see them face to face or you want to talk to me, just wait a little bit and then talk to us. You'll see me in the car line. But if it's an emergency, obviously, let us know. You can send me a text message. You can send me a dojo message. You can call me. And we want, my hope for this year is that when at the end of the year you can say, this school communicates too much. That's my desire. And my philosophy is this: if you think you're communicating too much, you need to communicate more. More communication. Now, I can't make you read the messages. You've already, you noticed this past Sunday I sent out a message that I not only typed up the big bullet points, but I also spoke about it in video. So if you don't want to read it, you can turn it on. You don't have to look at me. You can just listen. You can put it over to the side and just hear. Okay? I'm doing everything I can to make sure I communicate with you. I want you to know what's going on. Core values, you can read about those. The discipline policy. We have a 3-level discipline policy at the school. You can read about that on page 8 and page 9. Level 2 and level 3 discipline issues I'm going to be involved in that. For our upper grades, discipline is kind of based on the child. So if your teacher, the first 9 weeks, if you're a new student here and they're with a new teacher, they're going to spend time getting to know your child. The purpose of discipline is to lovingly correct a child. It's not to have a meltdown yell fest. Y'all with me on that? I mean, if you're angry, settle your anger first and then correct the child. So what we're going to address is behavior, whether it be not good behavior, doing something that they're not supposed to do, not doing something that they should have done. That's what we're going to address, not them. We're not going to attack their personhood. It's their behavior. Y'all with me on that? And then what we're going to do is we're going to base discipline for those older grades, particularly 5th and 6th, and Ms. Turnbow will tell you more about this when you get to her classroom, it's kind of based on the individual student to some degree. What motivates one child in a consequence, won't motivate the other child at all. You tell a girl, some girls, You don't get to do recess and PE today. You don't get to do PE today. You don't get to play. They beat you in the head with the ball. What's the thing? What's dodgeball? You don't get to do that. Are you serious? I don't get to do that. It's going to be so hard. You'll sit over the side and inside think, oh, Miss Turnbow, she's so sweet. Thank you. Right? It doesn't necessarily work. Not everything works for every child. So it's a little subjective to see what will teach them how to be more responsible, because that's what you want, right? You want your kids to be more responsible. And you might say, well, yeah, but sometimes the teacher might be wrong. Hey, we're flawed human beings. I've been wrong at least 2 or 3 times just talking to you. But that doesn't mean that because the teacher's wrong that we excuse bad behavior on the part of the child. We love the child, but we want to teach them what's wrong so that they can choose to do what's right. It's not personal. It's about responsibility and caring for your child appropriately. Okay? So if you get a message from a teacher, now let me make sure I unpack this one. You cannot read intent in a message that's written unless the person writing it writes about a book. I am not saying this, but I am saying this, but I'm not saying that. So remember, I'm not saying that, but I am saying this. So when a teacher sends you a message, just want you to know, Jonathan today did this. I wanted you to know what happened. Here's what his consequence was. If a teacher happens to use an exclamation point in one of those sentences, can that make a huge difference in how you interpret the message versus a period? Yes or no? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes the teacher might have hit an exclamation point, and it could be an autocorrect thing. It could be all kinds of things. So we can easily get offended when they just want you to know what's going on. So just know this. Sometimes communication in writing, we work on it. We've talked about it in service, and we're going to talk about it more, to be intentional about that. And sometimes we have a new 8-minute video feature on Class Dojo. Some of our teachers are like, I cannot do that. I'm like, what is up? Hit the button, tell them what happened, hit send. They can see your pretty face. Tell them all about what their child did wrong. They're not going to do it. They're going to send you a written thing, okay? They're probably not going to do that. I don't know why, but it's just, I don't like to be on camera. But, all right. So just know, we're not mad at your child. We love every student. Do you realize that when we left here on May the 18th, which I didn't really leave, I've lived here all summer, but I'm saying when school was officially over and we had our promotion parade and everybody went through and woohoo and all that, all the students that chose not to come back, which was a lot of preschoolers because they're going to elementary school, we were down to 49 students. It's not good. If you didn't know, it's not good. But now, tonight, if our numbers are right, and sometimes people call up, we gain 2 new kids and then 1 leaves because they're freaking out over Corona. I think we're at 96 students. That's kind of crazy. I could have never imagined. I've never worked harder for anything in my life, but we're at 96 students. We have a good chance before August 10th or 12th to be at 100 kids. And I'm grateful to God for that. But just know, we love your kids. But when your kids do something wrong and we let you know about it, we're not saying, you're a terrible parent. I can't believe your kid did that. What kind of woman or man are you? Get it together. We're not making anything personal. We're just letting you know what they did wrong, what the consequences were. We love them, but they can't do that. And we still love them. Is that clear enough? Because it's nothing personal. We're not mad. Well, I mean, we might have been mad for a minute, but we got over it. Okay? Kids are going to do crazy stuff. We're adults and we do crazy stuff. Right? Sometimes. Sometimes we don't think anybody notices it. Anyway, let's move on. I don't have all night. And you don't either. Cell phones. Kids can't bring cell phones to school unless you power them off and put them in a bag and put them away. Now, I want to tell you something. When you see your child walk into the car and they're doing this, and you're holding it up, you're enabling an addiction. They have too much screen time. I've watched them go out of here. They're going to the car and you see the parents saying, here it is. Did you get on green all day? I got on green, Mommy. Oh, good. And they're like freaking out over, it's a screen. Let me play my game. They're freaking out. We need to turn that off a little bit. Good grief. Back it down. Let them cut the grass or something. It's too much screen. Too Just something I've noticed. That was totally unrehearsed, but just, it's kind of crazy. A little bit about the screen time. Probation, we do that very little bit. You know, if a child comes in and just is out, you know, just impossible to deal with, you can read about that. We don't spank. I've had parents say, hey, Mr. Harris, if I gave you permission, would you spank my child? No, I won't. I mean, I might want to, but I won't. If you want to come up here, we can find a place for you and you can beat the fire out of them. But we're not doing it because that will be bad for us. That would be bad for us. I'm not watching either. If something bad goes wrong, the board turns sideways, they put their hands and you break their knuckles. I just told you you can do what you want. You're the parent, right? I'm just totally, I'm kind of joking about that. We've never really had anyone take us up on that, but I've noticed some parents when the child gets in a lot of trouble, you can see inside, you wait till we get home. And then who knows what happens. All right, contrition, I'm not getting into all that. You can read about that. Why is contrition important? Well, if we're teaching kids to do right and to have a conscience that they're aware of when they've done wrong, part of contrition and part of learning to not do wrong again is that they feel genuinely remorseful or guilty for what they've done. And if they hit a kid and they go, sorry, and then they don't care, well, that's not a good sign of where their character is going. So we got to work on that. That's clear enough. I'm not going into all that. Expulsion and appeals on the bottom of page 11. You can read classroom dress code. You can buy the bottoms anywhere you want. Don't buy them from Lands' End unless you're rich. And you like to waste money. It's a little over the top. Just my thoughts. You might say, why do y'all use Lands' End if it's so expensive? Because it keeps us out of buying their shirts and getting us as the middlemen. We're middlemen enough. So you can buy what you want. It'll ship to your house. If you don't like it, you can send it back. They'll resend it to you. But boys and girls can wear pants or shorts. Girls can wear skirts or skirts. Navy blue, black, gray, or khaki. And then, of course, on the tops, it's the polo shirts that have their logo or T-shirts that have the logo. And how do you find out what's in our store? You go to Lands' End, that little sheet that we sent out or the code that we've sent out. We've sent it out. We've given it out. If I missed you on that, I'm sorry about that. We put that code in, it'll bring up our store. Anything that's in our store, it will put the logo on. If it's not in our store and you try to buy it, then it will send it and we'll have no logo on it. And so some people have said, hey, could we just have the artwork and we'll get it made somewhere else? You can't. You just have to do it through Lands' End. And I'm sorry about that, but just order what you need. If your Lands' End stuff did not come in by August 10th, or it does not come in, or August 12th if you have a kindergarten, which you wouldn't be here tonight, but they can wear a plain polo, a plain colored polo without, of course, a lot of logo, or a T-shirt, a one-colored T-shirt like blue or whatever, red, until their uniform shirt comes in. Anyone have questions about the dress code? Yes, ma'am.
We don't mention dresses.
Say again?
We don't mention dresses.
What is it about dresses? I'm clueless.
There are dresses that are allowed as long as it comes up and puts the.
Okay, the Lands' End has dresses that you can get, and it'll have the logo, and they're in that store, so you can
Yeah,
do.
I bought it. I just wanted to make sure I could wear them.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks for the question. I always think this is how much I don't know about girls and dresses. I think when I say skirt, it means dress, and then I just move on. That's my bad. My bad. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna tell y'all, the Lands' End, because they didn't tell us this until we had an incident, but like, even if they've had the outfit or whatever it is for a while, if it gets any holes or anything, they'll let you bring it back and get you new. So, with that
That's
being
great.
said, a lot of places don't do that, so just send it back and they'll.
When we had the Sears in Bellevue, you could take it to Sears, and they would send it back, but of course, that's not there. But Chick-fil-A's there. Hey, right on that. We could get to Dixon. They're never going to do it. But anyway, great insight about sending stuff back that doesn't work.
Yeah, because there's a store.
What's that?
There's a store in Madison, is that what it's called?
Lands' End is closed in Madison? Permanently? Well, so can't go to Madison to the store they closed. Thank you, Corona. Anything else about the dress code? I'm glad to answer any question. You'll notice that the dress code's pretty broad. So the girls, like, they can have some personality in what they put in their hair, and you can wear leggings in different colors and undershirts that are, like long sleeve shirts. So it's not a real like militaristic type uniform. It's pretty broad. And our plan is later in the month of August or sometime in September, we're having a Warriors t-shirt made up. That it's a part of a fundraiser your children can buy. We encourage you to buy them for your family. And then on Thursdays, they can wear jeans and the t-shirt every Thursday, just to sort of mix it up a little bit. And so we hope to get that out by sometime in late August, just to mix it up. Anything else about dress code?
Do you have any backpack?
Say again?
Any backpack restrictions?
Are there any backpack restrictions? I mean, not really, not for a kid. If they can carry it, if it has like Black Sabbath on it or something like that, yeah, we probably don't want to do that. But outside of that, there's not really any. I'm just joking around. There's not any kind of restrictions on that. No, it's all good. So you can do that. I can't believe I just said that. That's terrible. That's truly terrible. I'm sorry. I'm just joking around, but.
Did you mention the Facebook page?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. You can go out to Facebook and type in GTCS Parents, and you should bring up our closed Facebook page. You can ask us to join. We'll approve it, and then you can go in, and parents are selling gently used uniform shirts. If it works for your child, you can meet up here at the school or meet somewhere else. And I've noticed there's parents on there selling 2 or 3 shirts for $5 a piece, and with Land's End, that's a pretty good deal. So yeah, you can look into that. So check that out for sure. If you come to campus, when we start opening campus back up, just read the part about dress code for parents and volunteers. I'm not getting into that. Early checkout. Hey, let me just say something about early checkout. Sometimes parents will say, I got to pick my child up at 1:30 for a doctor's appointment. I know some of you have dentists and doctors who don't work on Fridays, and we're closed on Fridays. And our original goal was, when we only went to 4 days, is, hey, if you have a doctor's appointment, please make it on Fridays. But several people are closed on Fridays, thank you very much, and that doesn't work out so well. So what we're asking you to do is, please try to get the appointment as late in the afternoon as possible, because we don't have to do makeup work as much from the core subjects. That would really help us on that. And the other thing is, if you're going to pick them up early, just give us a heads up. Send us a text message, a dojo message. Let us know that you're going to be picking them up early, so that we can, if you can give a specific time, we'll do our best to have them ready, so that when you come to the door, it's a matter of just getting their attention. They come to the door, you sign them out, and you can be on your way. Emergency school closings. I told the people last night at our preschool meeting, we want to be open every day that we can. We're in school, including the Fun Fridays, 150 days. Not the Focus Fridays. If you count the Focus Fridays, we're here about 185 days if you come on Focus Fridays. But for the Fun Fridays, the 4 field trips, and the Monday through Thursdays, we're about 150 days, okay? And so what we're going to try to do, just because Dixon County announces that they're closing, or Williamson County or something of that nature, doesn't mean that we're going to close. We tell you as quickly as we can. I have people that'll start telling me at 6 o'clock in the evening, 5 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock in the afternoon, hey, we're going to be closed tomorrow? I have no idea. I just don't know. Because here's what parents will say. If I call early and then it warms up and everything melts off, and the next morning people are sitting home saying, can you believe they're out of school today? I got to take these kids down here. And then before you know it, everybody's upset. So I have to wait as late as I can to pick the time. So what we're going to try to do is, even if we have to do a 2-hour delay or a 3-hour delay, as much as that's inconvenient, at least we can get about 5 hours of school in, and it's more than just sitting at home. So we're going to try the best we can, but it's really contingent upon if we can get teachers here. I have a teacher that lives out in Cumberland Furnace, Van Leer, people live out in Bonacqua, can they get here? They don't have 4-wheel drives, so it's kind of dependent on that. But I would say that when there's a huge snowstorm, if that ever happens again in Dixon County, I don't know, we have floods and sinkholes and all kinds of stuff, but we can't seem to have winter. But whenever there is a winter again, after a couple of days, the roads cleared up, we're going to go back to school if we have to be out at all. Okay? Does that make sense? So you'll get it on Facebook, you'll get it on Dojo, you'll get it in your email, and you'll get it on WSMV. As quickly as we can, we call WSMV, it'll be on their crawler. Yes, ma'am?
Will that affect early care?
It would. And I know that's difficult. If we can at all get our teachers here, we will try to have extended care open. We try very hard. Just know it's an agony. I mean, I know you might say it's not life or death, but it's hard for families. I know that you have to work, so we want to get someone here or someone's here to make sure that we can get your kid.
Just let us know, like in that, if
You-
early care is open or closed.
You'll know when I send it. Yep, for sure. Good question. If you go over to page 14, we're almost finished. Fun Friday field trips. You can see the dates that we have those set up for. I would go ahead and tell you right now that most likely the September 11th one is going to have to be changed because we're probably going to have to do a field trip and have people come to us because of all of this madness. And we probably won't get to go anywhere in September, so we're going to look at maybe getting fire, police, maybe even some other pieces and parts, people that could bring animals, just to try to make it a fun day and do some other things like that. We may get some blow-ups and just do some fun stuff in September. I don't know yet. We're just now starting to work through that, but it's looking not so good for the September 11th. But if we change it to like September 18th or 25th, we'll let you know by the start of school what we're going to change it to, okay? You can see the thing about financial support. Turn the page to health issues. We have a no-knit policy on lice. Children who with lice or nits may not attend school. Before a student can be readmitted to school, a statement of treatment from a healthcare provider must be submitted, or you have to be able to show us a receipt where you bought the treatment. And then the reason we do that is that we're not medical people, and we don't have a nurse here, and we don't want to be digging through your child's hair other than just to see that there's nothing in your child's hair or head except hair. You know what I mean? We just don't, that's all there is to it. And you might ask us questions about that, and I will point you to my better half, and she can tell you all about it, I'm sure. Immunization policy, you gotta give us an immunization record. If you're a new student here, if you haven't done that, please see me afterwards so we can get that set up. Unless you have an exemption, a religious exemption, and get that turned in as well. Medications, please don't send your child's medication in their backpack. You know, if you can let the teacher know, you can give it to me in the car line. Make sure that the order of what you want them to have and when you want them to have it is written out, and that you have signed it and dated it. That's kind of important for us so that we know that's when you told us and you've put your signature there and dated it. And then the medicine will stay in the office, and then we will have timers set to make sure that we give them the medicine as you have prescribed or as the doctor has prescribed and you've confirmed. Okay? We're going to skip over the Little Warriors page. Lunches, bottom of page 16. You know that we don't provide lunch Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but on Thursdays, we bring in Domino's Pizza. Nothing's changing on that. You will get a menu for the month, the first 9 weeks in your email later this week. You can bring it to school with you on the first day of school, the second day of school, but we would like to have it by the end of the second day of school, and then you'll be covered on the pizza order for the entire first 9 weeks. So you don't have to keep turning that in every week and trying to remember all that, and that'll help you on that, okay? You see our non-discriminatory policy, the organizational structure of the school. You might ask, does the school have a school board? We are in the process of working on building and putting together an executive leadership team, probably 3 to 5 people in addition to me, to be on a school board. We're looking at over the next year going through a first phase on this building next door of updating it. Probably going to cost around $100,000 to $125,000, maybe a little bit more than that. It will give us about 10 classrooms where we can move our child care center, the Little Warriors program, all next door, and perhaps a couple of kindergarten classes next door. And that would free us up over here to have 8 classrooms for 1st to 8th grade. And it would just be elementary school in this building. And then a second phase would be to build up over here and put a second floor for hopefully down the road, perhaps a university model of a high school in 5 to 7 years, something of that nature. But we'll talk more about that, okay? Any questions about anything I've covered so far? I'm winding it down. I get to do this again on Thursday night. Wow. Mercy. If your child is in kindergarten or up, obviously you're here for that. Clearly, they need to bring a pair of tennis shoes to school if they're not going to wear tennis shoes to school. For PE and for recess, if they have to be in here in the gym, they need to have tennis shoes that they can either change into, or wear. We do standardized testing in the spring for any child in 3rd grade and up. You can see our statement of faith, textbooks and toys. And then on the back, it's about visiting campus. Right now, we're asking you not to visit campus unless you're picking your child up as it relates to coming in. And there's that. Now, I'm sorry I took so long to get all that information out, but I wanted to be sure that we've communicated with you. And then I'm asking you, when we finish tonight, just a few minutes, I'm going to go back to this back table back here, and we have signature pages where we're asking a parent to sign and date that you've accepted the handbook as it is, you agree with the policies, and then we'll keep that on file. And then after that, you can go to your child's classroom, and you really can't miss it. If your child's in 3rd or 4th grade, when you go down the hall, the second door on the right. If your child's in 5th or 6th grade, last door on the right, and you can't miss it. We were able a few weeks ago to buy 55-inch TVs and put them in each classroom to use for our teachers to use, to be able to use for multimedia presentations or to show educational things that they need to. We've moved away from video projectors. I appreciate all of you that have supported us in that, have prayed for us, have donated toward that, and appreciate Jeremy Deason and Amanda Tidwell for all the work that they did in getting them all put in. They came up here 4 or 5 nights and assembled a mount that is like putting together a car, and appreciate them so much putting those TVs in for us. And our teachers, it's much easier now. Plug in a computer or cast it to the screen, you're off, and it saves a lot of it saves a lot of minutes, instructional minutes. So appreciate that. So if you'll just come back and sign that, and also I have a sheet that it will tell you every step about how you can pay your tuition online. Some parents have asked us this: how do you bill? The first month in July is a hard month. We have all these new students coming in. Everyone has different payment plan desires, and it takes us a little bit of time to get everybody loaded. Everyone's been billed for the month of August. There is no late fee for the month of August. But normally, tuition's due the 1st of the month. It's not late if it's received by the 10th of the month. And this document will give you every step about how to pay. Now, I had someone say last night, I stumped your system. I went in with a web browser, and it gave me a thing saying it wouldn't work. If you go through Firefox and it won't work, go to Google Chrome. If it won't work with Google Chrome and you're desperate, go to Explorer. Explorer's trash. I wouldn't use Explorer, but whatever. If you love it, more power to you. But if that doesn't work for you and you just say, look, I do not want to write a check or that kind of thing, you can come here during the day. We'll give you a school computer. You can go on and pay it that way in the office. If you want to pay by card, you can use a Discover, American Express, or MasterCard with RenWeb online. Just be sure you're using a web browser. If you try to find an old RenWeb app in the store and download it, it's not going to work. If it does, let me know. I'd love to know that, but I've never heard of anybody having it work lately. Fax bought out RenWeb. What's that? Yeah, they say a lot of things. Anyway, we're in a contract, and I hate them. But anyway, I'm just kidding. I don't hate them. I don't hate anyone. But I hate their system. I dislike their system strongly, and we're looking at other options, but right now we're doing what we can do. We're doing the best we can. So anyway, if you have a Visa card and you want to use the Visa card to pay your tuition, we have a PayPal account. We can tell you how you can do that. But both of those options are going to charge you about 4% for using a card, okay? So you can, but just all we're asking is, please don't hand me money in the car line. People say, hey, here's my tuition. I've got like 43 things I'm going to do before I get back to the office. I've gotten home before and I went, oh, I have the tuition in my pocket. I don't want to carry tuition home. I have to bring it back, put it in the office, and I don't want to do that. So if you'll just either put it in the mail, if you don't want to pay online, please don't put it in your child's backpack or their folder. They'll see that. Don't do that, please. If you don't want to pay online, you can just put it in the mail. I have a parent that pays religiously every month. Comes in the mail, we take it in, put it in there, and then we put it in the bank. But if you could pay online, we'll be grateful to you for paying online with your. It doesn't cost anything if you use your checking account. Okay. Do you have any questions about all of this crazy? I mean, all these things I've covered tonight. Anything? I like to joke around. Life is hard. I'm not always funny. Many times, in fact, I'm not funny at all. But I'm just trying to lighten the mood, you know. And are y'all okay? Everybody okay? Okay, just wanted to try to lighten things up a little bit. So if I went too far with that, get over it. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But anything I can answer for you. It's been a long week. Isn't this Friday? Somebody had a question, right? No one has a question. I've done a tremendous job. You have no questions. The teacher has a question? What?
There were a couple people who were going to be in school tonight, and they said that was okay for the check.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can still, yeah, that's true. Straight, good point. Just come back and see me at the table, and that'll be fine. Anything else? Hey, if I haven't already told you, I mean this with all of my heart. We are genuinely grateful to God for the partnership with you. We're grateful to have your kids here at the school. We count it a tremendous honor to get to serve the Lord and work with your kids and to teach them and work with you. It means a lot to us. We don't take it for granted. If there's anything that I can do as I'm running around here over the next 10 months and you see, hey, I need to talk to you about something, or I need an issue settled, don't hesitate to contact me. See me outside, call me, text me, whatever it is, because we want you to leave here knowing that you've had an experience that has been a quality experience for you. We can't do everything that you want, but we'll do everything we can to make sure that your child has a good experience, that they're learning, and that they're enjoying being a kid. We want kids to have fun being a kid. Adulthood is overrated a little bit at times, right? Is that true? It can be a little overrated at times. All right? You okay? Anything from anyone? If not, meet me in the back and then go to your teacher's, your child's classroom.